I'm Bailey Hoffman.
Hello, my name is Emily France.
I'm Emma Phillips.
Hi, my name is Kayla Swope.
In 2021, the U.S. pledged to halve their emissions by 2030 and reach net zero by 2050. My group members and I have developed what we believe is a fiscally responsible and effective climate policy that will help the U.S. reach its goals. Climate change is a major threat to multiple sectors: transportation, infrastructure, public health, agriculture. Essentially, everything is at risk from climate change. And climate change, as we know, is accelerated by greenhouse gas emissions. And as we can see on this graph here on the right, we have our top three main contributors: transportation, electric power, and industrial. We're going to need federal policy to help regulate these emissions. If we don't, the federal government is going to have to pick up the tab and pay for climate reparations and assistance programs. Therefore, we must implement a new fiscally responsible and easily adaptive policy solution to get a sustainable future.
As a result of the various impacts of climate change, reduced market productivity is expected in the future due to interferences with worker health and damaged infrastructure. As a result of the reduced productivity, America's already large income inequality gap is expected to rise drastically while GDP growth declines. The federal government will have to spend a lot of money to recoup the losses, making up for workers' missed wages, industry spanning interruptions, and both infrastructure and ecological damage. Yale Climate Connections estimates that this could cost the U.S. $10 trillion by the year 3000. Our first proposals are a carbon tax and carbon border. A carbon tax will be applied to every 1 cubic ton of carbon emissions produced. The tax will be set to the price per barrel of oil as an automatic stabilizer to ensure that it is reliable. The tax will generate about $100 billion a year, and that money will go towards social infrastructure, including childcare subsidies and education subsidies. In addition, a carbon border will be applied, and it has bipartisan support. A carbon border is a tariff put on goods from countries that do not have carbon taxes. This will ensure that American-based manufacturing and development is not outsourced.
The second implementation would be fully focused on the push towards green technology and redirecting their subsidies. The development of green technologies has brought confidence to the war against climate change, and now we must fully focus our attention towards how we can manipulate these developments to be fiscally responsible and manageable in the United States, while also addressing and reducing U.S. carbon emissions. The fossil fuel industry revenues $5.9 trillion in subsidies. It is believed that these subsidies should be redirected towards green tech entrepreneurs, and those entrepreneurs could include anyone who partakes in the green retrofitting of infrastructure and carbon capturing. That could be done either biologically or geographically. The last key to this implementation would be the funding of alternatives and research, and that could be going towards either public or private investments.
So now for political feasibility. In the social aspect, so many people would be supported, especially vulnerable populations, since the money from the carbon tax would go directly towards social infrastructure. So these investments would help address the very prevalent income inequality that is in the US. Now, everyone, including both parties, loves to have more job opportunities. So carbon taxes and the subsidies would encourage competition with fossil fuel industries, and as a result, there would be a race for more eco-friendly technology, thus creating more jobs in sectors like energy efficiency, electric cars, and so many more. Jobs are also beneficial in the economic side. So since there are more jobs being created and there would be more funding from the redirected subsidies, it would further stimulate the economy. The redirected subsidies and the revenue would encourage funding into greener options, and finding new ways to reduce climate change effects and our ways to adapt to it will also ease forced government spending on damages from climate-related events like hurricanes. The carbon border tax, if it's implemented fairly and along with other countries, would create a more economically stable world, honestly. Countries with trade agreements are less likely to go to war, so it'd be very beneficial in terms of international relations and global economics. The border tax would also push for more green technology and implementation within the US, which would be great for the economy. Finally, creating an automatic stabilizer for the carbon tax would help ensure that there's no major price jumps that would hurt the economy. And it would also not require congressional action if the government were to decide that they wanted to change the price. Instead, it would just automatically increase or decrease depending on the oil price. So now the image on the right shows American beliefs on how the government is addressing climate change. The majority believe that we are doing too little, which is shown by the 65%. And then 79% think that the US should prioritize developing alternative energy sources. 79% of Americans. That's over 250 million Americans. The people obviously know that we need to take action now, and implementing our proposed policies would do just that. Thank you.